Agree. This is frustrating. Also, where are the others? Where are the K's? Hi. Here comes Kayla. Kayla. Hope everybody had a nice break. Anybody do anything fun? You did what? Myrtle Beach is fun. Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
Where?
You ever heard of Dixie Plantation in Hollywood?
I have heard of it. They did an opera there?
Yeah,
Everything
college-
about this is surprising to me.
All right, so the college is hosting an opera. So Molly O'Connor
Mm-hmm.
had a little performance in there.
Oh,
So I went to go see it.
yeah.
It was right near my house, so I decided, oh, okay.
That's so cool.
It was really cool. And it was really well performed. The whole performance did well.
What was the opera? Do you remember?
I'm sorry, I'm not thinking.
That's totally fine. And it might have been in Italian.
It was all in Italian.
Okay.
It was in Italian. It was 3.5 hours long.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's cool though.
It was cool.
Why have I got a little I've got like a little camera icon right up at the top of my screen and weird. I just clicked it and it went away. I don't understand it. Okay. Julia's had watermelon. That's very exciting. It's literally my favorite fruit. Kayla turned 18. Happy birthday.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, by the way, I have some Cocoa Krispy treats in here if y'all want some. There's still plenty left. Absolutely. Wash is coming here twice to get some. So first COVID vaccine. That's exciting.
Finally got to go to the upside down house.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
How was it?
it was really cool. It's like, so when you, after you like get your ticket, you walk through this door to go like to the like fun part.
Yeah.
And it's like weird when you get in the door and it's like a tunnel
Yeah.
and then everything's like fine. And then that's like, as soon as you like step foot on the walkway, the room like starts spinning. Like everything starts
Weird.
spinning.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
It's scary.
Oh, Julius also got his first shot. I assume everyone has been doing well, but the shot hasn't killed anyone. Nobody's really had very many issues with the first one. It's that second one. But I mean, the second one was fine with me. Isaiah, I see that you have sent a link there, but it just leads me to ancestry.com, like a login, not to any actual thing. Oh my God, you're right. No mask. I'm so sorry. Ooh, guys, sorry. I didn't even.
Okay, try the other one I just sent.
All right. Let's give it a shot. Ancestry DNA for Isaiah. Look at that. Nigeria, Cameroon, Congo, and Western Bantu peoples. Mali. That's cool. Ivory Coast and Ghana. That's really cool. I would love to do that sometime. It's more expensive than I would like it to be, but oh, I got to take attendance. Has Kinsey been in other classes today? Anyone know? No. Maybe she's taking a little extended vacay. Julius, Kayla, Madison, no Kinsey, Isaiah. Okay, so I think today's stuff will be fairly short. I'm just going to walk y'all through a couple of different little presentations. And then tomorrow we're going to start reading a play. Very exciting. Fences by August Wilson. It is a full-sized one, yes. There are 2 acts. I mean, we're going to read it quickly, don't get me wrong, because we still just got so much to do in such a short time in this class. But yes, we are going to. It is a full-size play. Okay, I have that. I have that. Where's the other thing that I need? Not these pictures of nonsense. No. Here we go. And one of the presentations looks like it's long, but it is not actually. Okay. Let me move this stuff out of my way. Okay, so this first thing is about understanding a script. I don't know why it says 30 ways. It's not actually, maybe it is 30. Good Lord, I was looking at it earlier. It didn't seem like 40 things, 30 things, but they're all pretty short. Okay. So I'm just going to read this to you guys and talk about it a little bit. Have you ever been in a conversation, or worse, a classroom discussion, where other people who saw or read the same play that you saw or read sounded like Einstein when they talked about it? What a long, clunky sentence that is. And you sound like, well, not Einstein? Oh, I hate that. Where'd they get that insight? How'd they learn to think those thoughts? And why am I sitting here hoping that no one calls on me? Yeah, been there, felt that way. And the truth is, it's not that the people who sound so smart are really all that original or brilliant. It's just that they have a method to their madness, a way of organizing their response to a play. So partly in self-defense, I've come up with 30 different ways to look at and think about a play, so that a normal person, you, me, and the other 99% of the world, can participate in an enriching conversation about dramatic literature and theater productions without feeling like an idiot. That'd be nice. By the way, a side benefit to reduced embarrassment in class has been an improvement in my work as a director and dramaturge on professional productions. I suspect the same would be true for actors and designers. Once you get the right tools, your insights have a stronger foundation and stand out more clearly in the gallery of public opinion. So see what you think. How many of these methods are you already employing, and how many can you add to your collection of analytical tools? All right, 30 things. Number one, inside outside. This guy, who's got a very like Germanic sounding name, gave critics this rubric for critiquing a play from the viewer's outside perspective. What's the playwright trying to do? How well have they done it? And is it worth doing? But to work collaboratively on a play, it's useful to also understand the inside mechanisms of the play, the values and engine that drive and sustain it. How is it built? What is it made of? How does it function? And what might it mean, and to whom? By combining the inside and outside perspectives, you can bring your own judgments to bear based on a fuller understanding of what the play is for your time and place. So look at it not only as a viewer, but think about how it's been crafted, how's it been done, what's the playwright trying to say with it. Dramatic action. What is the overall action of the play? What's the central conflict? What do the characters want? What do they do to get it, and at what cost? When expressed, the dramatic action needs to encompass all the characters' pursuits in order to be useful. And that's another way of saying the play is about people who. Thematic focus is the third one. The theme. What might the play mean? It's useful to consider many meanings before focusing on a central and orbiting theme. The theme and the dramatic action should interrelate. They are two ways of thinking about the same thing. Dramatic action describes characters in conflict. Thematic focus describes the meaning extracted from that action and its results. These little people, inside and outside. Character journey. Drama is about characters who change. Sometimes characters are driven by a desire for change. Other times, change is forced upon them. Either way, an effective way to understand a play is to ask, how, where, and why are the main characters changed from the beginning to the end of the play? And some of this will be kind of second nature to you guys after analyzing short stories, because obviously, like, that's a characterization thing. Are they static or dynamic? Theme we know about, and there's, reading a play is not completely separate from reading short stories. It's different, but it's got a lot of similarities. Relationship. Theater is about human experience and relationship, but on stage, relationship is the best way to measure change, impact, and meaning in a play. I'm sorry. I couldn't stop myself from yawning. If relationships don't change, does anything happen? Has anything been affected? No matter who you're reading, relationship is the yardstick of drama. Number 6, structure. A French scene chart is invaluable in mapping the rhythm and progression of a play. The chart is based on character entrances and exits and includes the page length of each scene, the names of the characters in the scene, a note on the physical location and setting, and a scene title that summarizes the action. By looking at a French scene chart without knowing the play, it's possible to understand major scenes and central characters, as well as analyze the sequence and duration of scenes that comprise the overall rhythm of the play. I wish they provided an example of what exactly that looks like. Theatrical virtues. What keeps the audience interested on a moment-to-moment basis? Is it plot, humor, suspense, romance, whatever else? No matter what it is, it's vital to understand what a play is made of if you hope to bring it successfully to life. These look like very flat people. Like they look, I mean, they are 2-dimensional, but they look like 1.5-dimensional. Backwards and forwards. To be effective and maximize impact, plays are written to prepare for big moments, to complete conflicts, and to pay off character journeys. To understand the dramatic relation between scenes in the beginning, middle, and end of the play, it's useful to read a play backwards as well as forwards. Crazy idea. Language. It's one of the primary means of conveying vital information about character through exposition and delivery, everything about them. On the page, language is also the exclusive medium, so it's essential to pay particularly close attention to the power and purpose of verse, images, motifs, and the colorations of accent, dialect, blah, blah, blah. These are part of the theatrical virtues of a work, but thanks to Aristotle, deserve their own mention. Aristotle had a lot to do with like the invention of Greek theater, which is the first kind of theater. The playwright's intentions. How does the playwright understand his or her own play? What has the writer said or written about it? Does the author's intention inform your understanding and analysis of the work? Are there aspects of the author's life or canon or worldview that illuminate the work? And again, we've talked about that with short stories too, about how important author's intention is to the story and whether we can interpret it in a way that they never intended. First impressions. Take notes when you read a play for the first time. What you do and don't understand and what makes the greatest impression when the play is new to you are crucial. If you work on the script, you'll never have those first reading experiences again, but the audience will every performance. Theory. This is a tricky category because plays seldom fit neatly into any theory, even a playwright's own theory. And by theory, I mean like the lens that you're looking at the literature through, like feminist, deconstructionist, whatever else. Critics often note that Brecht's plays are best when they transcend his theory of alienation, which is when the audience members lose awareness of themselves and become involved in the drama on stage, which sounds kind of fun, to be honest. A theoretical framework such as feminism or Marxism can illuminate a work, but generally theory is more useful in talking about a play than it is in making theater. I'm sorry. I don't know why I'm so sleepy all of a sudden. Maybe I shouldn't be bundled up like this. I'm getting too cozy. Props and stage directions. This analysis, borrowed from These People We Don't Know, requires making lists, which in turn provides inspiration for the physical and scenic production. Jory makes a list of all the things called for in the play, and he looks at the list to determine what objects are important and may have symbolic or metaphoric value. And they also give the actor something to do. The other person pulls out all the stage directions into one document, and that compilation suggests the primary demands and requirements of the physical space. Scenic metaphor. This topic brings meaning to the functional necessity of scenery. Beyond requirements and mood, scenic metaphor creates meaning with light, sound, and objects. The best scenic metaphors transform with the action, so that meaning is revealed over time. Whose story is it? This approach to a text can provide a focus for a production as well as providing inspiration for some unique interpretations. We're not going to read the thing that he is talking about. What happens next? Ooh, Hamlet. I love Hamlet. The ghost of Hamlet's father appears and speaks to Hamlet. The moment is dramatic, theatrical, exciting, and then it's over. What happens next? This is they're going from Hamlet to the Glass Menagerie here. Tom gets his friend, the gentleman caller, to visit his sister Laura. They dance, they kiss. What happens next? This approach emphasizes actions which then need further examinations. Do they move forward by cause and effect or in other ways? What do they add up to? And how do they engage the audience? Why can't I say it? I'm trying to combine suspense and tension. Suspense, tension, mystery, shock, sympathy, etc. The inverse approach, number 17, moving along. Original plays offer original challenges. If you're attracted to a play but it seems unlike anything you've seen before, take the inverse approach to analysis. What familiar forms and genres does the play not ascribe to? If the play is not clearly a tragedy or melodrama, a character study, or plot-driven, you can begin to eliminate forms that will confuse your understanding and interpretation of what the play actually offers. Ultimately, this process of elimination leads to a place where you can identify what virtues and values the play has, and you can begin to build a universe for the production from those characteristics. Intuition. There are plays that resemble dreams more than objective reality, such as Blood Wedding, in which the moon speaks. That sounds fun. Those works resist rational analysis. They just don't respond to logical or cause and effect thought. So the best approach here is to imagine these works as dreams in which the meaning arises from images and patterns rather than plot and character. That sounds cool. The goal is to connect the dots, moving from image to image, and to get in touch with the artistic sensibility that evokes such dreams. By imagining rather than dissecting such a work, we empower our intuition and enter the critical process of understanding this play as co-creators of the dream. Historical context, 19. This is a great untapped area of inspiration, primarily because theater artists tend to concentrate on relevance rather than universality when planning a production. The fear is that we'll build a museum production full of artifacts and references to events that no longer resonate with a contemporary audience, like would be very dated. Bad idea, valid fear, and yet, knowing that Chekhov was a 19th century doctor, owned a dacha that was visited by artists and others from Moscow, that he had recently married an actress and was sick and dying when he wrote The Cherry Orchard, can provide insight that prompts inspiration about the play in its time rather than in our own. In its time is the key idea here, and the process works just as well for contemporary works and context. That's actually a thing we struggle with in every form of literature, is like putting 21st century ideals, or like judging works that were from a long time ago with 21st century ideals. It's just a thing that I always have to like kind of fight with kids about, not physically fight, but really get them to understand. 20, production history. There's so much to be learned from those who went before us. How did they understand the play, and what did they choose to do? Did they succeed, and what's to be learned from their interpretations and emphases, their casting and design? Much of this information will come from reviews and critics, and it needs to be filtered, but it's interesting to observe 2 recent productions of The Glass Menagerie. This person cast 2 actors as the younger and older Tom to play the scenes and monologues, respectively, while this other person set the entire play in the hotel room of the older Tom as he looked back on his younger self. Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. It is kind of cool to see like different adaptations of the same play, and just to see what different people decide to do with it, because people can get so creative. Choices. A play in which characters make no choices isn't much of a play. Therefore, it's useful to focus on the moments of decision, the choice itself. Find those moments, what leads up to them, and the consequences that follow, and you'll hold your audience's attention all night. By the way, what isn't chosen, what doesn't happen, should be a very present shadow of what is and does. It's how we understand regret. Number 22, thought process. Related to choice, thought process is the pathway that leads to that fork in the road where a character agrees or refuses to go along. The moment of decision can be galvanizing, but can also be meaningless if we haven't followed the character's thought process. Out damn spot is a great line, but why does Lady Macbeth say it? Lady Macbeth is my fave. Why is the question audiences care about most when viewing a production of a classic play? Because they already know the text. The audience comes to the theater for subtext, which is thought process. Who's she? And why she got a tiger? Number 23, stakes. How much does it matter to the characters if they achieve their goals and attain their objectives? What was I was just listening to something. I feel like I was either watching or listening to something where I think it was actors were talking about how bad stories don't have any stakes. Like there's just nothing on the table. Are we talking about a matter of life and death, anticipated happiness or despair? Is someone's future at stake? Marriage to the villain, loss of the family farm, unrequited love, financial ruin? A play without high stakes is sort of like a walk in the park. Nothing wrong with that, but not very exciting either. Oh, I think it was, I did this, you guys are going to make fun of me probably, but I did this Zoom panel with Bill Hader the other day. He was like giving a talk for USC School of Comedy, and it was free to register, so I did. So I was going around telling people that I was Zooming with Bill Hader, which isn't really accurate, but he was talking about his show Barry, which if you guys haven't watched Barry, I highly recommend it. It's so good. And it's about a hitman. Bill Hader plays a hitman who doesn't want to be a hitman anymore, even though he's very good at killing people. And he decides he wants to become an actor, and even though he's pretty bad at that. And he was talking about coming up with an idea for a show for HBO. And at first they just wanted to do like kind of a day in the life of the character kind of thing. And he was like, there weren't any stakes. Like I couldn't think of like, what's the point of this story? What's actually happening? Like what's affected by the choices? And when you're dealing with a hitman, it's literally life and death. So all that to say, watch Barry. Number 24, time. Generally, there's a direct correlation between an approaching event and heightening dramatic stakes. For example, the locomotive rounds the bend as our heroine struggles with ropes that bind her to tracks. Without a deadline, there's no pressure, and without pressure, life proceeds without the necessity of change. Even Chekhov, who advocated life as it is, needed trains to necessitate the comings and goings that transform daily living into the drama and trauma of human relationship. Motifs. A motif, we probably know this, is a recurring element that helps develop and inform a play's major themes. That can be anything that shows up multiple times in a play. An idea, a visual element, a sound. If you guys have seen the movie Hereditary, which is so scary, the girl's like clicking sound that she does, that would be a motif. That's like a recurring thing. And then at the end, somebody else does it. No spoilers. They often evolve in the course of a play, and the changes in ideas, images, and sound can signify important developments in character, action, and circumstance. Number 26, closing in on the end here. Beats, not like drum beats. Directors and actors love to carve their script into beats, those paragraphs of action that define bite-sized units of want within the super objectives and theme of the play. Since plays aren't really written with beats in mind, it's really interesting that this approach works. Cuts. 27. A great way to understand why a playwright wrote something is to consider what the play would be like without it. If you read through a script while trying to trim it, your careful consideration of those possible cuts will allow you to see what would go missing in terms of the play's theatrical values, plot, or character developments, and poetic structure, thematic argument. It's best to do this with another smart mind in the room, as two heads are far better than one in understanding a script's potential meaning and values. And again, that's with any literature. Like if something seems out of place, wait till you get to the end and think about like, why was this included? And sometimes there's not a good reason. I just finished reading Frankenstein with my English 4 class, and there's some stuff in there I'd cut personally. Like I don't really think it adds anything, but no one asked me before publishing it. Audience expectation is a fun category to play with. Everyone knows that if you give the audience what they expect, you'll please some and bore most. People want to be surprised. So try to figure out what expectations the play is building, and then delay, subvert, or upend them. That is fun. However, if the point is to deliver the expected goods, make sure you do so in spades. That's why like twist endings work so well. Genre-specific analysis. There are categories of plays where special rules apply. Musicals, solo performance, 10-minute or short plays. They succeed under the guidance of gods who work differently from Dionysus and his cohorts who oversee the universe of full-length plays. It's getting weird. As an example, here are a few tips that are essential for solo performances and monologues. Hook the audience immediately, end with a powerful point, idea, or insight, which Trifles did that. If we think, if we think about that, since that's a really short one. Include surprises and discoveries along the way. Provide an animating situation that propels the character's journey. Make sure the character is driven by or experiences strong passions. Focus on one or two main ideas. Language must be distinctive, colorful, and appropriate to character. Second and third characters provide variety in language and point of view. Employ humor generously and create a strong bond between the performer and the audience. And lastly, personal lists. A list is different from a theory because it offers neither interpretation nor directive. It merely advocates ingredients in to inspire theater makers. This is a list called 26 Secrets to Making Great Theater. The more time you spend with this list, as you read and see plays, the more meaningful it becomes, and you'll probably soon want to create a list of your own. This first item, the viewpoints, might not be familiar. It's a discipline that's pretty much a self-contained way of thinking about what can happen on stage. So you have the viewpoints, broken expectations, surprise entrances, revelation of object, revelation of space, revelation of character, stage accidents, offstage action, the elements, air, water, earth, and fire, use of a small area, which makes things look big, and vice versa. Framing and breaking the frame, action expresses emotion, space and time express emotion, recognizable image, visual metaphor, simultaneous action, what is seen versus what is heard, and a contradiction in those things, frantic action to abrupt stop, music, taking the audience on a journey with capital J, sex, information overload, such as pattern recognition or chaos, audience perception versus theatrical reality, foreground and background, style, and toxic leaks. A toxic leak is that line of dialogue or moment or act in which the character's inner life leaks out from behind his carefully constructed mask. And if we are paying attention, we see who he or she really is. The difference between great theater and brilliant theater is message. So now you have 30 tools in your kit to help you respond lucidly to the questions posed by a work of dramatic literature. If you work on mastering just a fraction of these, I guarantee you'll never be abashed in drama class again. What's more, whether you're an actor, director, designer, you'll be ready to help put a play on its feet and create a dynamic production that offers a surprising and rewarding experience for its audience. Okay, so that's a lot of information, and I know that. Sorry, I'm going in here and writing Hunter a pass. And I don't expect you to like memorize those 30 things. I don't have those 30 things memorized. But as we start reading this first, well, not the first play, the only full-length play, I feel like you'll automatically just kind of come back to some of these things and be reminded that, like, oh yeah, I can look at it through this lens and kind of be thinking of this thing, even if it's something you kind of thought you forgot. Okay, so the other thing that we're going to do today is just a little bit of intro to the play that we're going to start reading tomorrow. We're not going to look at all 19 slides of this because some of it is like Act 1, Scene 2 questions and stuff like that. So we can't look at questions before we've read it. Okay, so this is a scene from the play. This is August Wilson who wrote it. This play won the Pulitzer Prize, so it's kind of a big deal. It was written in 1983 and is one of August Wilson's best known plays. I'd say it's probably his most famous, but he does have other ones that are famous. It is one of a cycle of 10, I actually didn't know this before. It's one of a cycle of 10 plays that he wrote about African-American life in each decade of the 20th century. That's very cool, and I want to know what the other ones are. It focuses on the 1950s and early 60s, and the play cycle as a whole depicts vivid characters experiencing the changing conditions and deep challenges of living in a racially turbulent society. Still very relevant stuff even today. So this is probably a good one for us to read. And also, there's a film starring Denzel Washington, which I haven't seen but was up for a lot of awards. This is just a timeline of his plays along with a brief description of each one. And we're not going to go through all of them because we don't really need to. But you can kind of see how they might kind of interconnect, like from the different decades and stuff. Like the first one is about an ex-slave. The second one, oh my gosh. I just looked ahead and saw 1920s Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. That's a movie that is out now and like up for a bunch of awards. I did not know it was based on an August Wilson play. That's cool. And now I want to watch it. But the 1950s one is Fences. It's focused on the bitter family struggles of Negro League baseball star turned trash collector Troy Maxson. So it's set in Pittsburgh, which is where August Wilson lived, a city to which many African Americans moved during the Great Migration from the South to seemingly greater job opportunities and freer lives in the North. The Great Migration did not lead to golden opportunities, however, as Troy and his friend Bono discover in the play. Instead, both men are jailed for thievery because they couldn't find work. I mean, some spoiler alerts there. Thus, the racism of the South was replicated in the North, though less violently. The tensions between Troy's dreams, his capabilities, and the status quo reflect Wilson's desire to explore the impacts of systemic racism and Jim Crow segregation laws in the 20th century. This is a serious play, obviously, but I was just thinking I'm going to have a hard time reading it and not picturing Troy Green as the main character. His name is Troy. I can't actually picture Troy playing baseball. Fences presents a period of American history that's witnessed the beginnings of change in race relations. There's an undercurrent of hope that runs through the play that reflects this possibility for change based on new, albeit rare, opportunities. For example, baseball is a significant metaphor in the play, and Wilson depicts an era in which the whites-only rules of the major leagues have begun to change with famous Black baseball players such as Jackie Robinson and Hank Aaron. And just for the record, in case anybody is like, oh no, is this a baseball play? If it were a baseball play, like just a baseball play, I wouldn't be interested in it at all, but I have read it and I like it. So don't worry if you don't know anything about baseball or if you're not a fan. As we learn in the play, the main character, Troy Maxson, wanted to play baseball professionally, but when he was young, African Americans were relegated to the Negro Leagues. In the 1950s of the play, the major leagues are far from completely integrated, but they're also not the completely unattainable goal for Black American players of Troy's generation who deserved to play, but were denied the opportunity. So we're going to talk a little bit about his name, Troy Maxson. Both his first and last name reflect a lot of the ideas that Wilson works to explore in the play. For instance, Troy is a reference to the Trojan War and the fall of the city of Troy. And once the city of Troy's walls or fences were breached by trickery, so maybe that's a thing to keep an eye out for. Oh, good. Maxson, I've never seen that last name outside of this, Maxson, has connotations of maximum and perhaps of a son overcoming his father as Troy did earlier in his life. Or it could even imply that he had the natural drive and abilities to be a maximum son of America, but was denied the opportunity. As many critics observe, his last name also appears to combine Mason and Dixon. That makes sense to me. The dividing line between the slaveholding South and the free North. Troy himself, then, would appear to combine both Southern and Northern traits or ideas in his character, just as he embodies many of the play's central concerns. It's kind of cool if that was the intent. Okay, so everything else from here on out is just questions about the play, which we haven't read yet. So we still have some time, but I don't want to start it today. I don't even have it uploaded, so I really can't. But we'll definitely start tomorrow. Any questions, concerns, anything either about this or whatever else? Hey, seniors won second in the Spirit Week. I don't know if we get anything for being second, but it's exciting. Mostly thanks to Dominic because he brought in a buttload of cans. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna let you guys go then, and we will start reading tomorrow. See ya.